Okay, so let's start with a little, I guess, a word association game.
All right, I'm ready.
If I say the father of the blues, who's the very first person that pops into your head? Just, off the top of your head.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're looking at any standard music history or you've ever been to Memphis, the answer is it's W.C. Handy.
Exactly. W.C. Handy, that's the name. The legend, the man behind the Memphis Blues. St. Louis Blues.
He's got the statues.
He has the statues, the school's named after him. He basically wrote the book on himself as the originator.
And he was a titan. We're not here to, tear down his legacy. He deserves a lot of that credit, but...
There's always a but, isn't there?
History's never that clean.
Right. Because what if I told you that the father of the blues title, it might actually belong to someone else?
Someone who beat Handy to the punch.
In print,
Yeah.
legally, publicly, by months.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. We're talking about a figure who was, arguably the first to publish what we'd call a real blues composition.
But he's been almost completely forgotten.
Erased from the story.
I mean, this is a man who wrote lyrics in 1912 that are still standard blues lines today. He was the one who, in a way, told musicians to slow down and feel the music.
But he didn't live long enough to see it through. He died young, under mysterious circumstances, just before the recording boom that would have made him a star.
So today, we are correcting the record. We're doing a deep dive into the life, the music, and the tragic end of H. Franklin Baby Seals.
The man who might just be the true forgotten father of the blues.
So we've pulled together a lot of material for this. We're looking at biographical records from old vaudeville circuits, music archives, sheet music.
And some fantastic research from modern blues historians who've been trying to put this puzzle back together.
And the mission's pretty simple. We want to introduce you to the man who really stood on that bridge between ragtime and the blues.
Bridge is the perfect word. Genres don't just appear overnight. It's not like people went to bed listening to ragtime and woke up playing the blues.
It's a transition.
It's a transition, and Baby Seals was right in the middle of it, basically directing traffic.
So let's go back. Turn of the 20th century. Who was H. Franklin Seals?
Well, the sources we have place his birth around 1880.
And he's from the South.
Yeah, Mobile, Alabama, and that geography is really important. Mobile was a port city, kind of like New Orleans, a cultural sponge.
So he's hearing everything.
Everything. Opera, folk songs, Caribbean rhythms. It was a place where a musician could just soak it all in.
But he doesn't stay put. He first really shows up on the professional radar around 1909.
Right, in Shreveport, Louisiana, at the Lyric Theater.
When I read his job description there, I just had to laugh. Today, a musician plays an instrument, maybe they sing, but Seals, the source, lists him as a pianist, singer, songwriter, comedian, and dancer.
That tells you everything about the grind of the black vaudeville circuit back then. You couldn't just be one thing.
You had to be a jack of all trades.
To survive, you had to be a jack of all trades. You'd play piano for the other acts, then jump up and do your own comedy bit, then a dance, then a song. You were the whole show.
And he was good. Not just scraping by, he was directing, leading orchestras.
A total pro. He understood the business of show business.
Speaking of business, this is where we hit the first big wait what moment. It's 1910. Seals is in Texas, and he publishes a ragtime song.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
The title is Shake, Rattle, and Roll.
Okay, let's just pause there, because I know what everyone listening just thought.
Big Joe Turner, Bill Haley, the 50s rock anthem.
It is not that song.
Definitely not. Musically, it's completely different. But
Yeah.
Shake, Rattle, and Roll in 1910. That phrase was just out there 40 years before rock and roll even existed.
It's an incredible coincidence. But it also shows you something about, the vernacular. These phrases, they describe movement, dance, energy. They bubble up in the culture for decades before they finally break into the mainstream.
And the source material calls this a ragtime coon song. We should probably unpack that term.
Yes, it's a very jarring term for us today, but we have to understand it was an industry label back then. Publishers, like the one in New Orleans that put this out, used it to categorize this upbeat, syncopated music from minstrel shows.
So it was the pop music of its time.
In a way, yeah, it often used caricature, but musically, it was the space where a lot of brilliant Black composers had to work to get published. Seals was writing these catchy hits within that system.
So he's writing, performing, directing. But he wasn't doing it all alone.
Enter baby Floyd Fisher.
I love the description of her in the sources. A dainty little singing and dancing soubrette.
That's a classic theater term. A soubrette is the witty, lively, energetic female performer.
And they were more than just stage partners.
They were married, a real power couple.
And they had a brand. Their act was billed as that classy, Cooney comedy pair.
With a K.
Of course, with a K. But what's amazing is their career path. In 1910, they're in Texas, a good regional circuit. But by 1911,
they break out big time.
The list of cities is just wild for that era. New York, Chicago, Philadelphia.
And that is a huge deal. Getting out of the southern Chitlin circuit and into those major northern hubs, that's the big leagues. It tells you they were polished, they had crossover appeal.
So it's 1912. They're touring the North. They're successful. They're famous. And Seals decides to publish a new song. Something different from that upbeat ragtime.
This is the moment. August 1912, St. Louis.
He publishes Baby Seals Blues.
Now let's look at the calendar. This is the whole father of the blues debate in a nutshell.
Because W.C. Handy's The Memphis Blues is the one that gets all the credit.
But the dates are the dates. Seals publishes in August. Handy publishes in September.
Seals beat him to the press.
He did.
Okay, so he's first. But I can hear the skeptics saying, was it actually the blues? Or was it just a ragtime song where he slapped the word blues on the title to sell it?
And that is the absolute key question. The answer isn't in the title. It's in the instructions printed on the sheet music.
The instructions for the musician.
Exactly. Right at the top, Seals gives a specific tempo marking.
It says, very slow.
Very slow. Just 2 words. But those 2 words are revolutionary.
Why is that so important?
Well, think about ragtime. Ragtime was king. It was fast. It was frantic, syncopated, music for dancing. It was all about energy.
But the blues?
The blues is a drag. It's heavy. It's about a feeling, not just movement.
So by writing very slow, he's telling every piano player out there, hey, stop. This isn't for dancing. This is for feeling.
Precisely. He is codifying the genre on paper. He's taking that feeling from the juke joints and field hollers and putting it into formal musical notation. He's saying, this is something different.
And then there are the lyrics. I was reading them, and honestly, if you didn't tell me this was from 1912, I'd guess it was a Muddy Waters song from the 50s.
They're shockingly modern, aren't they?
Unbelievable. Here's the first verse. I got the blues, can't be satisfied today, I got them bad, want to lay down and die.
I mean, that is it. That's the core sentiment of the blues right there. Can't be satisfied.
And then there's the line that just blew my mind. Woke up this morning, about 4:30, somebody knocking at my door.
Woke up this morning.
It's the ultimate cliche. It's the once upon a time of every blues song ever written.
It really is. B.B. King sang it. It's in the theme song for The Sopranos. It is the opening line. And here's Baby Seals putting it on paper in 1912.
So did he invent it? Or was he just the first one to write it down?
And that's the beauty of folk traditions. He probably didn't invent it in a vacuum. It was a phrase people used. But he was the one who saw its power, put it to music, and sold it. He commercialized the oral tradition.
You packaged the culture.
Exactly. And he did it with serious help. We should mention the arranger.
Artie Matthews.
A huge name in the ragtime world. The fact that Seals partnered with a heavyweight like Matthews tells you this was a top-tier professional production.
And it wasn't a flop. This song sold.
Oh, it sold well. The sources are clear. By late 1912, it's being arranged for full bands.
Yeah.
By 1913, the newspapers are calling him a famous blues writer.
A title that literally didn't exist a couple of years before.
And he owned it. The song had a life of its own. It got into the repertoire of other musicians. Even Jelly Roll Morton played Baby Seals Blues.
And it saw a note about a yodeler.
Yes. A popular vaudeville yodeler named Charles Anderson recorded it in 1923.
So the song made it onto a record.
The song did, even as its composer was starting to fade from history.
But Seals wasn't just an artist. He was really active in the community, it seems.
He was. He was a regular correspondent for the Indianapolis Freeman.
Which was basically the billboard for the black entertainment world.
It was. The fact that he was writing in, reporting on what was happening, it shows he had a business mind. He was trying to be a leader for other Southern performers.
So let's recap. It's 1913, 1914. He has a hit song. He's a famous act with his wife. He's touring nationally. He has this new title, Fanta's Blues Writer.
It sounds like the beginning of a long, amazing career. He's perfectly positioned.
But this is where the story turns.
And it turns so quickly.
We know that in 1912, they're everywhere. Nashville, Jacksonville, Harlem, top of the bill.
We're at their peak.
But then the source just says, by 1915,
And partnership is over.
suddenly Seals is working as a solo act.
And we just don't know why. The records don't say if it was a divorce, a creative split, nothing. The classy pair is just gone.
And he's not in New York anymore. He's back in the South.
He's in Anniston, Alabama.
And that's where the story ends. December 29th, 1915.
She dies.
Do we know how?
Unknown causes, is all the record says.
And his age?
He was about 35 years old.
35. It's tragic. He helps invent a new genre of music, and just as it's taking off, he's gone.
And that brings us right back to the original question. Why Handy and not Seals?
Is it really just that simple? He died at the wrong time.
It's almost entirely about timing. Think about what happens just 5 years after he dies.
The 1920s.
The Roaring Twenties. And the recording industry explodes.
Right. Crazy Blues by Mamie Smith comes out in 1920 and sells 1 million copies.
Exactly. And suddenly, record labels are desperate to sign blues artists. Bessie Smith, Matt Rainey. They become stars because their voices are captured on wax.
And Seals missed it.
He missed the boat by 5 years. If he'd lived in 1920, he would have been 40. A seasoned pro with a hit catalog. He would have been recorded. We could hear his voice today.
That is such a heavy thought. The line between being a legend and being a footnote was just 5 more years.
And then look at W.C. Handy. He lived until 1958.
1958. That's the era of Elvis.
Right. Handy lived long enough to write his autobiography, to give interviews, to shape his own legacy. He got to tell his story. Seals never did.
So you have a guy who wrote Shake, Rattle, and Roll before rock. He wrote Woke Up This Morning before the blues was even a thing. He literally told the world to play it very slow. And yet, he's a ghost.
It is the classic story of history being written by the survivors. Seals set the stage, he lit the candles, he wrote the menu.
And then he left before the main course was served. It just makes you wonder what else he would have written. If he came up with Baby Seals Blues in 1912, what would he have been doing in 1925?
He was an innovator. He was on that fault line between old-time entertainment and this new, deep, personal expression. We lost his perspective on that evolution.
Well, I think we've done our part to at least put his name back in the conversation.
Absolutely. H. Franklin, Baby Seals. A name everyone should know.
So here's the question I want to leave everyone with. We just talked about how Seals got erased because he died right before the technology, the record player, could make him permanent.
Right.
So how many other firsts in art or in science are currently credited to the wrong people, just because the real pioneer didn't live long enough to stake their claim?
That's a haunting thought. We listen to the survivors, but maybe the ghosts had the better songs all along.
Something to think about. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.